A week after MJ Akbar resigned in the middle of the Me Too storm, the Prime Minister Modi-led government formed a group of ministers called the GOM to re-evaluate the sexual harassment at workplace legal framework, make recommendations and ensure their time-bound implementation. Through an RTI, the Quint found out that the committee stands dissolved. Women we spoke to said the government's prompt response and acknowledgement in October 2018 was greeted with hope, but that their anticipation has turned to anger. It has been 9 months since the committee was formed and 6 months since they had to submit recommendations. At the same time, the number of complaints and frequency at which women call out sexual harassers on social media has reduced. In light of this, the Quint filed RTIs to investigate the committee's contribution to the Me Too movement. The committee comprised of Nitin Gadkari, Nirmala Sitharaman and Maneka Gandhi and was headed by then Home Minister Rajnath Singh, was formed on 24th October 2018. A quick recap of what the ministers were tasked with, according to a Ministry of Home Affairs release. The GOM was to recommend action required for effective implementation of the existing provisions, as well as to strengthen the legal and institutional frameworks to address issues related to sexual harassment at the workplace. They had to develop appropriate recommendations and lay down a comprehensive plan of action. They also had to ensure its time-bound implementation. And lastly, the GOM was to, within 3 months of its constitution, examine existing safety provisions for women, including those mentioned above, and recommend measures required to strengthen them further as well as to make them more effective. The RTIs that were filed with the MHA, under which the committee was formed, include to please provide information on the number of times a group of ministers has met since 24th October 2018. Please provide the exact date of the days these meetings were held since 24th October 2018. Please provide the minutes of the meetings of each of the meetings held. Please provide a copy of the recommendations which were to be submitted within 3 months by the group of ministers. The government, however, stonewalled. When the aforementioned queries were looked into, the MHA said that the committee has been dissolved. It is to inform you that with the constitution of the 17th Lok Sabha and formation of new government, said committee is no longer in existence. The government added that the required information is exempted from disclosure under Section 8I of the RTI Act 2005. This applies to the specific RTI queries regarding the deliberations of the GOM. The relevant section reads, there shall be no obligation to give any citizen details of cabinet papers, including records of deliberations of the Council of Ministers, Secretaries and other officers. While the government might be under no obligation to divulge the details asked for, they are at perfect liberty to do so in good faith. Further, no details have been provided insofar as the reconstitution of the said committee after the election is concerned. Hence, we neither know about the work undertaken by the GOM in the previous months, nor if it led to the law being strengthened or restructured. The Quint reached out to the women who had expectations of the committee and shared details of the RTI with them. Rituparna Chatterjee, an independent journalist who covered the Me Too movement extensively, said that she was shocked at the committee's dissolution. A few months ago, I had tweeted out what happened to this government panel, with prominent faces and women, but got no response. However, she isn't surprised. She says politicians have remained entirely silent about the Me Too movement, including the opposition. It is amply evident that talking about women's rights and acknowledging the endemic problem in our society is not seen as conducive for politicians to bring up. Like Rituparna, Shanti Verma, who worked as an announcer at the All India Radio till March 2016, expressed no astonishment. Shanti says she was sexually harassed and molested by her seniors at AIR in UP's Obra city, about 140 kilometers from Banaras, on 2 separate occasions in 2010 and 2016. She says she had heard about the group of ministers but realized they were not sticking to their own timeline. January, February and then finally March came. I realized they were not going to do anything at all. The deadline to submit recommendations had passed, so I decided I will protest outside the office. As her appeals were falling on deaf ears, Shanti travelled from Uttar Pradesh to Delhi in order to be heard. She tried to protest outside the AIR office from 15th April onwards. However, no one supported me, and those who wanted to lend support were not allowed to come through, she says. She was kept in police custody and eventually on the night of 18th April returned home. She has not worked at AIR since 2016 after she reported the second instance of sexual harassment. Her demands continue to be reinvestigation of the allegations she made and her being professionally reinstated with adequate compensation. Ira Trivedi, the author who came out against Chetan Bhagat, said that she is shocked that the committee has been dissolved. Like Ira, Sarita Barpanda, a human rights activist who is currently working as a senior director at the Human Rights Law Network, also had hopes from the committee's formation. Sarita came out against a former colleague during the Me Too movement. But Panda says the government forming the committee in the midst of the movement seemed promising. The responsibility entrusted with the committee in October 2018 gave a lot of Me Too survivors, including me, hope. It was seen as a step in the right direction. However, if the committee ended up doing nothing, then that is a shame. If RTIs, the two commoners like me, have to hold the government accountable, have failed to get a response from the government, it is highly worrisome, she says. She expresses her worries. Her daughter is young, and Sarita wants her to have a safe working environment that she didn't get. I am angry. I feel the women's movement, which started with so much assertion during the initial movement of Me Too, gave us a lot of hope. The movement has fizzled. Women have lost hope and momentum. The government is back to square one, doing what they do best. It is high time the government acknowledges we have a problem.